Oreo, let's go. Good boy. Good. Okay, Oreo, go. Off-lead training. Most people really want their dog, Good Boy, to be able to be off-lead and be free and not have to worry. So Oreo is one of my biggest successes. I walk him 5 times a week and oh, good boy. And as you can tell, I can pretty much have him off-lead without having to worry whatsoever. And because he's doing such a good job, good boy. Yes, because he's doing such a good job, he's allowed to have more freedom, and by giving him more freedom, it actually makes his recall better. But you'll notice throughout this, I don't really need to actually recall him. What is the secret in having a well-behaved off-lead dog? So my first tip would be, don't actually use recall. Sounds quite weird, but the more you recall your dog, it can actually have a negative consequence because you're constantly pulling them away from what they want to be doing. So if you recall your dog and they don't come back, it's probably because they're interested in something else. So by coming back to you, the reward isn't high enough, so it acts as a punishment. So if your dog's smelling something and you ask them to come, whatever they've been conditioned to with their recall, it needs to be high enough that it beats whatever they're smelling. So with Oreo, for example, yes. Good boy. So I simply use his marker in order to get his attention and get him to come over. So if I use the word yes, he instantly looks, and every time he does that, he gets a reward. So I use that almost like a positive interrupter. So I let him know he's doing something good, but he's got to come over and get the reward. Next thing I use the word touch. Oreo, touch. Yes. So touch is a really nice way to train a dog to come in and check in with you and touch your hand. Benefit of this is you can teach touch in a very playful way. And to be honest, if the dog ignores the word touch, it's not the end of the world. While we do want to encourage our dogs listening to us 100% of the time, realistically, it's probably not going to happen. So by using the word Oreo, touch. Yes. It doesn't matter nearly as much as if you use their actual recall and they actually blow that off. Because what a lot of people do is they'll use the word, they'll be like, come. And the more you use the word and the more the dog ignores you, the more that word loses meaning. That's something we call poisoning the command. And when a cue or command is poisoned, the dog just pretty much learns they don't need to come over. So by having 2 alternatives that you can test out before, because realistically, it allows you for more success with your training. So when you do have a strict recall, say your dog's going over to another dog, or they're going towards a road, you've got that strict recall, which means they can come straight back. Good. Oreo, okay. Oreo, here. Yes. Good boy, buddy. Good boy. Here you go. I've got all those options, but to be honest, I don't need to use them. And I think this is sort of my favorite way to train, is just letting the dog make a decision on their own, but making sure they make the right decision on their own. Good. So just like that there, that is the secret. He looks in and he gets paid. Normally I don't do this with treats. I'm sort of past the point of 100% needing them, unless we're doing a specific training session. But for the video, I thought it'd be much more helpful. So the 3 secrets to getting your dog off lead while following you and not needing recall is, first of all, genetic fulfillment. Oreo has got a very easy genetic fulfillment. He's quite happy to plod along. Good boy, buddy. Quite happy to plod along. He gets to smell stuff, he gets to run around, and he sort of just wants to work with us. So that's quite easy for a dog like Oreo. Okay, so this will be a really, really good example. He's found a specific scent and he's sort of tracking it. Now, I want to let him do that because that's part of being a dog. I don't want to take that away from him. So a good thing to do in this situation is wait for a break. Oreo. Cool. So it says name, he started coming the way, but he's still doing what he's doing, which is absolutely fine. Oreo, let's go. Yeah. Good boy. So, yeah, good boy. So this is gonna sound a bit weird, but by letting the dog off lead, either two things are gonna happen. Depending on the environment you're in, the dog's either going to have better recall because they're getting their genetic fulfillment and they have opportunities to come back and you can reward that and everything's good. And by getting out their genetic fulfillment, they're going to want to listen to you more. However, if a dog is showing a large interest, a bit too much interest in the environment, so Oreo, for example, there's a stage of about when he was about 1 year old, he started getting very, very interested in birds. Because he got interested in birds, I immediately had him back on lead and I did not let him chase the bird. Because if he chased the bird, that would have become very, very positively reinforced. He would have got an adrenaline rush for chasing the bird. And then next time he sees a bird, he's like, oh, that was fun. I want to chase it again. I want to chase it again. And it keeps adding up and up and up. And then chasing birds will become a very, very fun-filled habit, which will make it way harder to actually train him and get him to this stage. So it's finding out that balance and making sure you're in the right environment to start training off lead and start getting them there. Now, second one is engagement. Quite simply, every time he makes eye contact, good, he's gonna get a reward. When that starts becoming a habit and he starts making more and more eye contact, that is when, good, I would start doing it every other time. Okay, Oreo, go. And when you've got that habit of constantly checking in, he will naturally just start to follow you a bit more. And like now, I'm going to change direction. And he starts following. Because he starts following. Oh, good boy. Yes. Good. Okay, Oreo, go. He gets no reward. Next thing I do as well is I always try and send out the dog after they came back to me. I don't want the dog to come over and then feel like they have to stay if they don't want to. I'd much rather give them the opportunity to come over on their own and they'd be like, okay, yeah, you can go now. And it's sort of like a very short burst of goodness and then they're back to being a dog. And with a genetic fulfillment good, the more they are allowed to be a dog, within reason, because obviously certain dogs' genetics aren't great for this. Like dogs that really enjoy super high prey drive, a bit different. That's a whole different thing. Dogs need to be genetically fulfilled. So if your dog's got a high prey drive, you need to figure out an outlet for them. Engagement to turn it into a habit. And then what's the very last thing, Oreo? There was one more thing which I cannot remember right now. Relationship. So when I say relationship, your dog has to want to be next to you. If your dog doesn't want to be next to you, then why would they come over to you? So let's talk about mistakes. As I said, one of the mistakes that could have happened with Oreo is he started showing an interest in birds. I immediately stopped that opportunity for him to start chasing birds because I know what happens when a prey drive like that gets fulfilled. And because of his breed, he could become very, very interested in birds, always wanting to chase, which can cause a lot of issues. So the genetic outlet for that. So one mistake is not being aware of your environment and allowing your dog to rehearse behaviors you do not want. That would be mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is punishing your dog when they come back to you. Now, when I say punish, well, I have seen in parks and stuff, someone like literally calling over their dog and then scolding them, which is interesting because it's like, why would someone want to come back to you if every time you come over to them, you hit them, you scold them, you tell them they're bad? It's like, that's not going to make your dog's recall any better. And when I say punishment as well, that's quite an extreme punishment, but coming over and instantly putting on the lead if your dog's got a negative association with a lead. Because then if you do this and the fun stops, the dog will not want to come over because you have just stopped their fun. And that will damage your relationship. Good boy. Because we may not see it as a punishment to the dog, you are indirectly punishing them, and they can fully understand that lead means either we're going home or the fun is over. So you can do lead training games to recondition the lead, make it a bit different, stuff like that. What about other mistakes? Just on my second walk, and I thought I'd quickly mention that is the other mistake as well, is letting your dog shoot off straight after you let them off lead. Letting them off lead should be quite a calm thing, and it shouldn't be like a really, really big deal. Good. So then that way they stay by you and they're not like going nuts straight off the bat. Because the more you do that, the more you're gonna just sort of charge them up. So when they're off lead, they're like party, party, party. Luca, here. Yes. This guide isn't like a step-by-step tutorial in how to get your dog off lead, because to be honest, I think every dog is individual and you need to treat them differently. But providing they are getting their genetic fulfillment, you have a good relationship, and you are rewarding them for doing the right thing, this will come very, very organically. Okay, so hopefully this video has been helpful. Again, it's not a step-by-step guide in order to get you the perfect dog. It's about showing you how different options to train your dog and get you to do it in the first place. Every dog is different, and for off-lead training, you really do need to understand your dog, but the core is pretty much always the same. Difficulties dependent on the dog and your current relationship.